Panchatattva Prabhu? Would you like to do the hosting?
It doesn't matter. You can go ahead, Prabhu. I'm beleaguered with a little canker sore, but go ahead. My experiences with the classes I've attended with you hosting is that you do a very nice job, and I'm very pleased to be a part.
Well, if you insist, Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind.
So are you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tamam, Vishnupada, Paramahamsa, Harivrajak Acharya Ashtatarashata, Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Pandaracharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajak Acharya Ashtatarashata, Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जयद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मथुर धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। बृहद मृदंग की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtyacha Deshacharine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome everyone. I don't see His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj here with us, but I do see Ras Prabhu, and if I may ask, Ras Prabhu, are you available for dealing with the posts in the chat?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm not able to tonight.
Of course, Prabhu. Thank you very much. You're most kind. So I'll deal with that. And today is the 19th of February 2025. It's a Monday, and I need to welcome all of you for the regular Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj and friends. This class happens on a regular basis every Monday, and the time is New Jersey, United States of America time, 7 p.m. And for today, we're starting with where we left off last Monday, and in accordance with Ekendra Prabhu, who hosted the class last Monday, the verse for us to start today is again Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order. The chapter is chapter 11, entitled Swayambhuva Manu Advises Dhruva Maharaj, and the verse for today is verse 14. And I would like to invite, because I see that Panchatattva Das Prabhu is here, I would like to invite Panchatattva Das Prabhu to start us off.
Sure.
If you're available to read text 14.
Sure. And Vijay Krishna Prabhu, if you want, I'll keep an eye on the chat and help with
Please,
that.
Prabhu.
So you don't have to worry about that, okay?
Thank you very much.
Sure. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, Text 14. Samprasane Bhagavati Purusha Prakritayar Gunai Vimukto Jiva Nirmukto Brahm Nirvanam Richati. Translation. One who actually satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead during one's lifetime becomes liberated from the gross and subtle material conditions. Thus, being freed from all material modes of nature, he achieves unlimited spiritual bliss. Purport. In the previous verse, it has been explained that one should treat all living entities with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. By such behavior, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and upon his satisfaction, the devotee immediately becomes free from all material conditions. The Lord also confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita, quote, "Anyone who sincerely and seriously engages in my service immediately becomes situated in the transcendental stage wherein he can enjoy unlimited spiritual bliss." End quote. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard in order to achieve blissful life. Unfortunately, people do not know how to achieve it. Atheists do not believe in God, and certainly they do not please him. Here it is clearly said that upon pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one immediately attains to the spiritual platform and enjoys unlimited blissful life. To become free from material existence means to become free from the influence of material nature. The word samprasanne, which is used in this verse, means being satisfied. A person should act in such a way that the Lord is satisfied by the activity. It is not that he himself is to be satisfied. Of course, when the Lord is satisfied, the devotee automatically becomes satisfied. This is the secret of the process of Bhakti Yoga. Outside of Bhakti Yoga, everyone is trying to satisfy himself. No one is trying to satisfy the Lord. Karmis grossly try to satisfy their senses, but even those who are elevated to the platform of knowledge also try to satisfy themselves in a subtle form. Karmis try to satisfy themselves by sense gratification, and jnanis try to satisfy themselves by subtle activities or mental speculation and thinking themselves to be God. Yogis also try to satisfy themselves by thinking that they can achieve different mystic perfections. But only devotees try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's process of self-realization is completely different from the processes of the karmis, jnanis, and yogis. Everyone else is trying to satisfy himself, whereas the devotee tries only to satisfy the Lord. The devotional process is completely different from the others. By working to please the Lord by engaging his senses in the Lord's loving service, the devotee is immediately situated on the transcendental platform, and he enjoys unlimited blissful life. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Tamaranda Shagaranjana Salakaya Chakshumani Tamjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayadvaita Swami Iti Namine. So we have gross body, subtle body. Gross body is the working senses, the senses of perception, and this gross material body composed of 5 elements. But above that is the mind, intelligence, and false ego, the subtle body. The karmis are working mainly to satisfy their gross material senses. They want the pleasures of life that are, pursued in this day and age and in ages past, whether it's from intoxication or meat eating or gambling or sex and various other types of physical pursuits. Whereas the jnanis, they're engaged in more subtler forms of enjoyment and pleasure. The great philosophers, the great scientists, the great thinkers of the material world do experience some pleasure from their endeavors, certainly there. And in many ways, it could be said to be qualitatively superior to that of the gross material enjoyers. But it is nevertheless self-directed. It's enjoyment that's pursued for one's own satisfaction rather than the Lord's satisfaction. And here we have a definition of the pure devotee. The pure devotee has only the Lord's desire and the Lord's pleasure at heart. He's not mixed with material enjoyment or gross or subtle. Of course, this is the definition of a pure devotee. Devotees can be engaged in mixed devotional service where those lingering desires remain for one's own self-pleasure, self-enjoyment. The pinnacle of pure devotees, though, the example given, and the one that Lord Chaitanya gave as the pinnacle of such pure devotion is that example given by the gopis of Vrindavan, who had no other interest at heart other than pleasing the Lord, who were willing to go to heaven or hell for the satisfaction of the Lord's senses, the Lord's desires, the Lord's pleasure. We are in training in the Krishna conscious movement to come to an understanding and an acceptance of that kind of standard of devotional service. And we can gauge for ourselves how much we are free from the desire for material enjoyment and how much we are addicted to and consumed by the desire to please the Lord's senses. We can take that as our thermometer or our measurement for how much we are advancing in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada talks about the karmis, the jnanis, and the yogis here, and their various forms of pursuit of sense gratification, but he distinguishes the devotee from these pursuits. Now, we talk about devotees of Krishna, and it may be seen in other persons of other religious denominations or religious pursuits, the various religions of the world, that we may find saintly persons in those groups who have, to the best of their ability and to the best of their knowledge, only the Lord's desire at heart. But in Krishna consciousness, we have a full picture. We have a complete process to understand in great detail about the Lord, his activities, his desires, his associates. And by this, and by that understanding and by that more complete knowledge, the door is widely open for us to come to the platform of pure devotion. Hare Krishna. Are there any comments on this verse, this wonderful verse and purport?
Well, I have a question. May I?
Yes, of course, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, you're most kind. And I just received a private message from Ross Prabhu, and he told me that he's available for the first half of the class, if you do not mind, Panchatattva Prabhu.
Oh, you mean for doing the chat and everything? Yeah, that's fine. Otherwise, if he wants to read and so forth too, he should be engaged as well.
Of course. He'll be the next
Good,
for the
good.
reading.
Haribol, Bhakti Ras Prabhu.
Thank you for engaging.
My friend, Dr. Ras Prabhu.
Ross Prabhu, are you available to read?
Yes.
Okay, so you will read after my question, if you do not mind waiting. So, Panchatattva Das Prabhu, the last sentence of the purport, if you do not mind reading it again.
Sure. The devotional process is completely different from the others. By working to please the Lord by engaging his senses in the Lord's service, the devotee is immediately situated on the transcendental platform. and he enjoys unlimited blissful life.
Yes, that is the quote. Thank you very much, you're most kind. What called my attention is the very last part of the quote, and I quote, and he enjoys unlimited blissful life, close quote. So based on this quote, my question is, why is it that without engaging in devotional service, we cannot be happy? That is my question.
Well, we're, by constitution, eternally fragmented parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's our identity. And as long as we're living to a greater or lesser degree false identities, as long as we're engaged in a false identification, we're in difficulty. You know, in the same way that a diseased person is in difficulty because of an illness or a limitation imposed by that illness, or the pain and suffering imposed by that illness. So we're rolling along in material conditioned life under the control of the three modes of nature, prakriti, kriyamanani, gunai, karmani, sarvashaha, including false ego, ahankara, vimudhatma. He's bewildered. We're bewildered by false ego, identifying with this body which is being controlled by the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So whether you're a jnani and more inclined, more affected perhaps by the mode of goodness, or whether you're a karmi, more affected perhaps by the mode of passion, whatever your or ignorance, whether you're a yogi, again, angling towards the mode of goodness and towards maybe some sort of transcendence, the remnant, whether large or small, of the desire for personal enjoyment is still there, and it's distracting you from your real happiness. You know, sometimes it's said that people in the material world are crazy. You know, how can a mad person be happy? If they think they're experiencing happiness, it's the happiness of madness, which is temporary and leading to just more suffering. So we have to get clear of that insane condition, the haunted condition of material life. Sometimes it's said that the living entity is haunted in this material world. He's like a ghostly haunted person. If you've ever seen them, sometimes you see on the... I remember when I moved to New York City when I was a young man with the Hare Krishna movement, I saw for the first time a person who was in an incredibly drug-addled state, where he was standing on the street. He must have been on heroin or something like that, and he was leaning at an impossible angle, at an angle that anybody else would fall over at, and somehow or other he was leaning like that and not falling over, but he was completely incoherent in an intoxicated state and made foolish by his condition. So every living entity under the control of the modes of nature is more or less in that shape. And they don't really have an understanding of what happiness really is. It's when you take up Krishna consciousness very seriously, and the concomitant purification comes by the Lord's grace and by the grace of your spiritual master, that you begin to understand what true happiness is. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry to go on so long like that. I know we need to get to the next verse. Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhu, your beautiful answer and very clarifying answer reminded me, if I may say it, of the fish outside of the water. The fish cannot be happy.
Great.
Thank you very much.
A very simple analogy, but a very good one. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. And thank you very much for your most brilliant answer, if I may say it. Now, Panchatattva Prabhu already asked about more comments or even questions related to the text he just read. If there are more comments or even questions, please speak now. And I'm inviting any member of the Sangha to do it. If not, then Ross Prabhu, if you do not mind, text 15.
Ute Panchavir Arabder Yoshit Purusha Evahi Tayor Yavayat Tambutir Yoshit Purushayor Iha. Translation: The creation of the material world begins with the five elements, and thus everything, including the body of a man or a woman, is created of these elements. By the sexual life of man and woman, the number of men and women in this material world is further increased. Purport: When Swayambhuva Manu saw that Dhruva Maharaj understood the philosophy of Vaishnavism, and yet was still dissatisfied because of his brother's death, he gave him an explanation of how this material body is created by the five elements of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also confirmed, Prakrite Kriyamanani, everything is created, maintained, and annihilated by the material modes of nature. In the background, of course, there is the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dyakshena. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Under my superintendence, material nature is acting. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to impress on Dhruva Maharaj that the death of the material body of his brother was not actually the Yaksha's fault. It was an act of the material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has immense varieties of potencies, and they act in different gross and subtle ways. It is by such powerful potencies that the universe is created, although grossly it appears to be no more than the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Similarly, the bodies of all species of living entities, whether human beings, demigods, animals, or birds, are also created by the same five elements, and by sexual union they expand into more and more living entities. That is the way of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. One should not be disturbed by the waves of material nature in this process. Dhruva Maharaj was indirectly advised not to be afflicted by the death of his brother, because our relationship with the body is completely material. The real self, spirit, soul is never annihilated or killed by anyone.
Ross Prabhu, if I may ask any comment?
No, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for your beautiful reading. And if I may ask to the members of the Sangha, any comment or question related to the text Ross Prabhu just read?
I just have a quick comment. It's interesting to see how Swayambhuva Manu is addressing Dhruva Maharaj. He's addressing him as a pure devotee. He's also, repeating instructions that are fairly they're almost like repeated instructions from Bhagavad Gita, identifying the difference between the body and the self and so forth. It's interesting how the Bhagavad Gita, these basic, sometimes very basic instructions, echo throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, but with a lot more explanation and development. And here we see it again in this case. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and related to your comment, if I may say it, Panchatattva Das Prabhu, your comment reminded me of Krishna chanting in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that the soul cannot be burned or moistened, cannot be affected by any kind of harm caused by the external energy, the material energy of the Lord. What to speak about being killed? Yes. Again, if I may ask, any other comment or question related to the text read by Ross Prabhu? And I'm inviting the members of the Sangha. If not, I do need a reader for text 16 and what? Oh, Jovanananda Mataji, are you available to read?
Sure, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you very much. You're most kind.
Okay. Evam pravartate sarga stiti samyama eva cha guna vrittikarad rajan mayaya paramatmana. Okay. Translation. Manu continued, my dear King Dhruva, it is simply by the illusory material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by the interaction of the three modes of material nature that creation, maintenance, and annihilation take place. Purport. First, creation takes place with the ingredients of the five elements of material nature. Then, by the interaction of the modes of material nature, maintenance also takes place. When a child is born, the parents immediately see to his maintenance. This tendency for maintenance of offspring is present not only in human society, but in animal society as well. Even tigers care for their cubs, although their propensity is to eat other animals. By the interaction of the material modes of nature, creation, maintenance, and also annihilation take place inevitably. But at the same time, we should know that all is conducted under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is going on under that process. Creation is the action of the Rajagun, the mode of passion. Maintenance is the action of Sattvagun, the mode of goodness. And annihilation is the action of Tamagun, the mode of ignorance. We can see that those who are situated in the mode of goodness live longer than those who are situated in the Tamagun or Rajagun. In other words, if one is elevated to the mode of goodness, he is elevated to a higher planetary system where the duration of life is very great. Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastiha. Great rishis, sages, and sannyasis who maintain themselves in sattvagun or the mode of material goodness are elevated to a higher planetary system. Those who are transcendental even to the material modes of nature are situated in the modes of pure goodness. They attain eternal life in the spiritual world. Okay, maybe someone will comment on this?
Would you like to comment?
No?
Any comment? I'm inviting the members of the Sangha again. Any comment on the text Mother Jovanananda just read, please? Or a question? If not, I do have a question, Jovanananda Mataji. May I?
Sure. I'm not sure if I can be able to answer it, but I would like to hear what others can say.
Well, the question is as follows. Why is it that the mode of goodness helps us more than the mode of ignorance and passion to make spiritual advancement? That is my question.
Well, I would say the mode of passion and ignorance are you're more contaminated. In the mode of goodness, you're coming to a level of purity where your intelligence is clearer. You're not as clouded. Okay, is that good enough?
Yes, that is just brilliant. Thank you very much. You're most kind. So if I may ask, any other comment or question related to text 16 that Mother Jovanananda just read? And again, I'm inviting the members of the Sangha. If not, I need
Yeah,
a reader.
I would say one thing.
Yes, please, Panchatattva Prabhu.
It's interesting to note that even the process, the enormous processes of creation, maintenance, and annihilation have their relative prominences in terms of the modes of nature. Creation being governed by Rajagun, maintenance by Sattvagun, and annihilation by Tamagun. So you see it even on the vast cosmic phases of these manifestations and then destructions of universes and cosmos. The modes of nature are still at play. So whether the modes of nature are affecting and apparent in the life of an ant or a microbe, or whether they're present in various mixtures in the life of a Lord Brahma or whatever, they're still at work in terms of the functions of the material world and the actions there. I thought that was kind of interesting that Srila Prabhupada was pointing that out. Even in terms of creation, maintenance, and destruction, the modes are governing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for that. I insist on asking any other comment or question related to text 16 that Mother Jovanananda just read? If not, I do need a reader for text 17, and I would like to invite Ekendra Prabhu, but I don't know if he's available for reading today.
You could also invite Madhupati Prabhu.
Yes, I see that Madhupati Das Prabhu is here. Madhupati Das Prabhu, are you available for reading?
Okay.
Please, Prabhu.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayadvaita Swami के नाम में निमित्त मात्रम तत्रासीन निर्गुण पुरुष सभा व्यक्त व्यक्तमिदं विश्वाम यत्र ब्रह्मति lohava. My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. When he gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves just as iron moves by the integrated force of a magnet. Perfect. How the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead works within this material world is explained in these words. Everything is happening by the energy of the Supreme Lord. The atheistic philosophers who do not agree to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the original cause of creation think that the material world moves by the action and reaction of different material elements. A simple example of the interaction of elements occurs when we mix soda and acid, and the movement of effervescence is produced. But one cannot produce life by such interaction of chemicals. There are 8.4 million different species of life with different wishes and different actions. How the material force is working cannot be explained just on the basis of chemical reaction. A suitable example in this connection is that of the potter and the potter's wheel. The potter's wheel rotates and several varieties of earthen pots come out. There are many causes for the earthen pots, but the original cause is the potter, who sets a force on the wheel. That force comes by his superintendence. The same idea is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Behind all material action and reaction, there is Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy, and yet he is not everywhere. The pot is produced under certain conditions of action and reaction of material energy, but the potter is not in the pot. In a similar way, the material creation is set up by the Lord, but he remains aloof. As stated in the Vedas, he simply glanced over it and the agitation of matter immediately began. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that the Lord impregnates the material energy with the part and parcel jivas, and there's the different forms and different activities immediately ensue. Because of the different desires and karmic activities of the jiva, soul, different types of bodies in different species are produced. In Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of the living entity as spirit soul, and therefore his explanation of evolution is incomplete. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three material modes. But the original creator or the cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram, the remote cause. He simply pushes the will with his energy. According to the Mayavadi philosopher, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms. But that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material gunas. Although he is the cause of all causes, Lord Brahma says therefore in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many causes and effects, but the original cause is Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimanandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshulmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yeah. Here we see Swambhuva Manu pacifying Dhruva, who had just because his brother was killed by the Yakshas, he was killing the Yakshas. Right. So to stop, and in turn, many innocent Yakshas were being killed, and to stop the killing, Swambhuva Manu had appeared to pacify Dhruva and request him to stop his killing. Ultimately, just as in Bhagavad Gita, we see Lord Krishna is bringing Arjuna to the transcendental platform that, oh, you are worried about killing all this, your grandfather and spiritual master and all the other cousins. No, they're not the body, they're the soul. Similarly, here we see just because Dhruva Maharaj is greatly in grief because his brother was killed, Swambhuva Manu is mentioning on the spiritual dimension that he's bringing him or making him realize that, oh, you are the, first of all, he's a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Why he's doing this? And then he's mentioning here about this creation, maintenance, and dissolution, that are how creation, maintenance, and dissolution takes place by the supreme will of the Supreme Lord. Right. Nimitta Mataram. Right. The three modes of material nature, Tribi Gunamani Bhavai, Ebim Saram Idam Jagatam Mohitam Nami Janati Mamebhyam Sarvaya. The three modes of material nature come by the Supreme Lord. The whole world is influenced by these three modes of material nature. And though the Lord, through whom these three modes of material nature come, he is inexhaustible. He is not influenced by the three modes of material nature. Right. And we see, depending upon the desires and wishes of a living entity, he acquires, based on these three modes of material nature, these 8.4 million different living bodies, and try to satisfy, try to seek pleasure, which ultimately they fail because it's not the real constitutional position. Right. So the Lord is indirectly the cause. Right. Ishwara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. Right. He glances onto this material nature, Matattva, and agitates the material nature. That's how the primary creation takes place. Right. And then we see the secondary creation taking place, and then Prakriti Kriyamanane Gune Karmani Sarvasvaha, right? Ultimately, externally we see that, okay, man and women on different species, male and female, procreate and increase the population. But ultimately, the original cause is the Supreme Lord. Right? The original cause is the Supreme Lord, Sarva Karana Karana. He is the ultimate maintainer, creator, and dissolver. Right? Through him comes creation, maintenance, and dissolution. Right? Yeah. Okay, that's all I had. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
Yes, I do have a comment. And thank you very much, Madhupati Das Prabhu, for reading and commenting
Thank you.
in such a brilliant way, most beautiful way. I do have a comment, but first I would like to ask to the members of the Sangha if they have any comment or any question on the text you just read. If not, yes, you're reading the text in itself, you're reading, and your comment, Madhupati Das Prabhu, reminded me of the shloka in Bhagavad Gita, and if you could comment on that, it would be much appreciated. The shloka is in Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 16, entitled The Divine and Demonic Natures. And the number of the shloka is shloka number 8, and it goes as follows. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So, any comment on this shloka?
Yeah, that's a demonic nature where they do not want to accept the divine intervention. Just as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about Darwin. Darwin is also saying that this entire philosophy of evolution, that ultimately everything comes from chemical. Right. They do not want to accept the divine intervention. So similarly here, the words which you read in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they say that it comes ultimately from lust. But so, they're just thinking about that population increases just because of lust, male and female coming together, sexual attraction, and creation takes place. Right. Where is the divine intervention? Right. So the and for that comes one need to explain so many other things. Why somebody is not able to procreate? They may then have a medical reason. Oh, because of this or that, they cannot have a child. Right. But not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Lord. So what to speak about procreation? Right. So the divine intervention is must. Man proposes, God disposes. No, so we can just have desire, but whether the desire will fructify or not is based on the Lord granting that desire. Right. So divine intervention is needed in each and every circumstances. Yeah. Is that okay?
Madhupati Das Prabhu, better than okay, as to be expected, a very clarifying and most beautiful comment on the shloka. I just offered to the Sangha. Thank you very much, you're most kind. Now, I insist on asking any other comment or question on text 17 that Madhupati Das Prabhu just read. And again, I'm inviting the members of the Sangha. If not, I do need a reader. I don't, we are already, I just noticed now, I watched the watch on my screen, and we're already 7 minutes to the end of the class, and text 18 is a text with a long purport. So I vote for the closing kirtan to begin now, unless there is any objection from any member of the Sangha. I think we should go to the closing kirtan. No objection, okay. Closing kirtan, but I do need a volunteer for the closing kirtan, if I may ask. Who would like to do the closing kirtan? If not, Panchatattva Prabhu, are you available?
Sure, I'll do it.
Oh, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Hadi Gaura Bhakta Brindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samabeta Bhakta Brindi Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Panchatattva Das Prabhu, for your most beautiful closing kirtan. And so it's time to close the session. And in the chat, Murari Gupta Das Prabhu just posted, and he says, Jaya, thank you Vijaya Krishna Prabhu and all devotees. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Ki Jai, and of course Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj was missed, no doubt about it, and we love him so much that if he's not present, we cannot avoid missing him because of how wonderful he is. And Praveen Prabhu wrote thank you, posted thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Murari Prabhu, Praveen Prabhu. And so it's time for me to, as the host of the class, to close the class. So I will say the closing words. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai. I think now I say Gora Premanandi.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Yes.
Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you very much, Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thank you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. That's nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I need to give my special thanks to Ekendra Prabhu who gave me the opportunity for hosting. So Ekendra Prabhu, if you can hear me, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu, because by your grace, the train keeps running and the mail is delivered. Thank you.
You're welcome, and you're most kind. Thank you very much for your association, Panchatattva Prabhu. Hare Krishna, and Hare Krishna to you all, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. I hope